Hello, and welcome to Covert Castaway. I'm Holly.
Je suis Stéphane.
Join us as we share what we learn and how we're making the transition to liveaboard cruising. Hello from the beautiful Göcek area of Turkey. This place is amazing. It's crystal clear water. They call it the turquoise coast, I guess, of Turkey. We got here as quick as we could, running away from the Meltemi, which we talked about on the last episode. And it does not disappoint. This is like a huge bay where a lot of people most people stern tie into various areas, and because the water's pretty deep. And boats come by and offer services. So large boats from grocery stores to crepe bakery people.
Mussels, fish,
lobster,
vegetables.
Coffee.
Even for your black water.
Yeah, they'll come to you.
And then you can get a pump out.
I think you can also get diesel, like have someone deliver. Because where we are is only accessible by boat. So it's the coolest thing. It's sort of, it's a different experience altogether because all of the services come to you in boats.
Yeah. There's only one road that we know of that comes here. And so it's kind of like a lagoon. Oh, there's a boat coming and anchoring in a little bay. It's kind of a huge lagoon type shape. It's kind of protected all around, and then so it's kind of inland a little bit. So we don't get, except today, we're going to get a little bit of like wind from the Meltemi that is in the Aegean Sea, but I don't think it'll be that bad here.
Yeah. But it's beautiful, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a city on water.
Yeah.
And so you have all the services that come to you.
Mm-hmm. So we had our own little inlet here, literally until this moment, where a boat pulled in just as we hit the record button. So you might hear the windlass in the background, as well as the bugs in the background. We have those, and we have wasps again. So that's been a good experience. But that's not what we're here to talk about. What we want to talk about is we've gotten multiple requests for people talking about what kind of boat options they should put on their boats. And we wanted to do a, year in review based on our current experience and how we sail.
2 cruising seasons.
Yeah. 2 cruising seasons.
Ongoing.
Yeah. About the options, the ones that we definitely couldn't live without, the ones that we were kind of like, maybe we would have made a different decision, and kind of go over each of the major, things that you consider, energy, rigging, water, stuff like that.
And that's for us and our cruising lifestyle and
exactly.
being a couple on board.
Yeah, I mean, that's the setup I wanted to do is, we prefer more rural anchorages. We avoid marinas. We don't barbecue much because we have our mostly plant-based diet. So there's things that only apply to us that would be different for other people. We don't have a ton of people who come to the boat all the time. So it's just Stefan and I. And so you have to take all these things that we're saying, in that context. And if you're like us, then that's great. Might work for you. If you, sail differently, you can just take it for what it is. So what do you want to start with, Stefan? You want to start with energy?
Yeah, I think energy is critical. Mm-hmm. Where we sail, and during the season we sail, there has been plenty of sun. Mm-hmm. So definitely essential, critical to maximize the solar. And the best position is really like at the back of the boat. I mean, you can add them on the coach roof, but you're going to have issues where some solar panels are
going to get blocked
covered
by the boom. Yeah.
So but then we have 5 solar panels. Each one has its own MPPT controller. Maybe we could create zones and maybe like 2, 1, and 2 or something. We didn't maybe need 5 MPPT controllers, but that's what we have. So that's definitely key.
Yeah, we literally never worry about power.
Yeah, so don't get like the stupid solar option provided by the boat manufacturer.
You feel kind of strong about this.
Yeah, I mean, some people
always
like
look
it.
at more solar is I think what he's trying to say.
Some people like it because obviously it's integrated in the boat, and so it doesn't change the look of the boat. We prefer like...
And you're talking about our specific boat, like what I think.
Yeah,
okay.
or probably like other manufacturers do the same, but they have limited solar.
Like it comes out of the factory with like 2 panels or maybe 3 panels.
Yeah, it's a little bit more, but it's like, I forgot, 400 or 500 watts maybe, I don't remember.
So how many watts do we have?
We have almost 2,000,
right,
1950.
Exactly.
So, definitely. So we have a frame that was added, so it adds weight, for sure. It adds weight with the solar panels, but it's just something we don't have to worry about.
One less thing to worry about.
Yeah.
And we also have Agm Batteries. And if you've been following us, you know that we started out wanting to get lithium, and we went down that whole rabbit hole. And we determined, the batteries might be ready, this part might be ready, that part might be ready, but the whole system together and the installation didn't come from the factory. We would have had to do it after the fact, and then it voided a bunch of stuff in our warranty. And so we didn't want to do it until the factory, at least for a new boat, if you're trying to maximize your warranty, until after the warranty was done, when we felt like we could get a clean installation end to end. So that was the decision that we made, but we did buy extra batteries.
Yeah, so you could get an extra battery from the factory, which we got, and then we added one post-factory, so during the commissioning process. So we have 6 Agm batteries, and I think it's 150 amp-hour batteries each. Mm-hmm. So, and that combination is working great. We basically never look at the energy that much. If we want to make some water, we'll talk about the water maker. It's a 12-volt water maker, so we just want to make sure the solar panels are providing energy when we run the water maker.
If we're not motoring.
If we're not motoring, mm-hmm. Yeah. So, at night with the radar, the instruments, as long as there is sun the next day, it's not fine. Been a problem at all. So it could be an issue if we had to do a passage where it was overcast and it was like maybe 3-4 days or something.
Yeah, but we would run the motor, right?
Then we will have to run the motor. But I would say for the day-to-day, like 99% of the time, mm-hmm. the solar panels provide all the energy we need. Mm-hmm. It's up to the 100, like sometime in the morning. And we can run a water maker on it, and so that solves all these problems. So So it's a dilemma. I mean, I think we made the right decision to just do this, because you already pay for 4 batteries. You already have a system in place. Or pay for 5 batteries from the manufacturer. Adding a 6th battery, initially we thought we would have to switch from the port engine compartment and add the extra battery in the starboard engine compartment. But if you add just a 6 battery and you move the others, there is just space for 6 batteries. So it's perfect. You maximize. And
it might be hard to get, and we've heard this from different owners for different manufacturers of boats, that you have to kind of talk them into fitting the batteries, because immediately they'll say, oh, it doesn't fit. Mm-hmm. Is there another boat coming? What is this?
No, it's just in the background.
Oh, in the background, sorry. So you can't talk about energy without talking about the generator. And we have sort of this love-hate relationship with the generator. We don't use it that much. We've used it... Which
is a big word for hate.
It is.
We carried around, we paid a lot of money.
We paid a lot of money for it. Well, that's the hate
35.
part, right?
No, how much is it? I forgot.
It was something like $35,000 or something.
Maybe, yeah.
It was expensive. And we carry it around, and then we've literally used it solely to power the AC 4 times this season.
Yeah.
So we've had record heat In Greece, it was the like highest temperatures on record or something like that. And it was hot, no lie. Like, and when we turned it on, we needed it. Like, it was hot. We needed it to cool off at night, but we ran it for like 30 minutes with the generator. And that was enough to kind of cool everything down. And it stayed pretty much cool for most of the night. So,
yeah, I mean, it's not like it would be more comfortable to leave it on all night long, and then you could have like a regular temperature, but you will hear the AC also going on. So it's like
the
a trade-off.
AC is louder than the generator, actually.
Yeah, the generator is
Panda,
pretty quiet. We have a Fisher Panda. It has its own box, and it's pretty quiet. It's in the starboard engine room. We're sleeping on the port side. So the generator, and the water, like it's this system where the water just like filters to inside. So it's very quiet.
Yeah.
But obviously the ACs are going to make some noise. But so it will be more comfortable to have it through the night. But yeah, literally we used it 4 or 5 times, and just to cool off the cabin, and then before going to sleep. And last season we used it when we were in Mallorca for like 2 weeks.
But we were at the marina.
Yeah, well, but then that's when you also
get
need
really
it.
hot. So if you do a lot of marina...
Well, no, sorry. We used not the generator. We used the AC.
Yeah, that's why they're linked. But if you are... I would say if you like to stay in marinas and you plan on staying in a lot of marinas and living aboard, you should definitely have the ACs. But then, again, that just... Think about the generator, because... I don't know. They have portable little AC dehumidifier units that you could get for a couple $100, which is a lot different than getting 6 AC units for however many thousands of dollars we spent on 6 units, which we definitely don't need 6 units. Like, if I had the choice, we would only get the AC units in the master cabin and maybe in the salon, and that's probably it. I think that's... Well, but we don't have guests all the time either. So.
Yeah, and then if we have guests, they'll be here for a week or 2 at the most, and they can suck it up.
Well, no. Or you could get a little. You could get one of those little portable things.
If it was really worst case scenario, then you could have the AC running in the salon, and people can sit in the salon.
It would cool things down.
At night, you can sleep outside. You would just need like a mosquito net, but you could sleep in the cockpit. You could sit. So if you had like a mosquito net, you would be like perfect outside. Yeah,
I mean, it just depends on where your line is between like luxury living and camping. So I think you need to figure out where that line is. For us, though, I don't know. I feel like if we had, with the solar we have, even maybe with our current battery setup, it would allow us to have the AC we need only when we need it for the short period of time we need it.
I don't know.
And definitely on lithium.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So I think, the ideal case for us will be no generator, as you said, AC in salon and the master bedroom, and then just run them a couple hours, and that would be sufficient for what we need. And this way you save on the generator. But it's a dilemma, because right now we're also saying it makes sense to just use the current batteries you have, the current Agm batteries. You add, one through the manufacturer, 1 post-manufacturing, so you have 6 total. And then we say use that for while the warranty is still on, so it's not a major project, and the cost is very small. And then in a couple of years, then you can do a switch to lithium. Prices will go down, but what do you do in between? Yeah,
I guess it's this weird between spot. So what you're hearing is the water hitting the shore line. We've had some swell come in from a boat in the past. Anyway, it gives you the ambiance of where we're at. Hopefully it adds to that.
Yeah, we're like stunt-high, and we're
beautiful.
Pretty close to...
we had goats, and we had a donkey walk by the last place we were at. Anyway, so we spent a lot of time on... Oh, I know, before we move on, I want to finish my thought. We're in this weird period of time where the manufacturers for new boats are almost committing to lithium. Like, it's going to be maybe next year or the year after, where they're going to most of the manufacturers will offer it as standard, in which case I think everybody would feel good about it because it'd be covered under the warranty.
Are you positive next year?
Well, I don't know. I mean, some manufacturers are, like Outremer is doing it.
Yeah, they've been doing it for years.
Yeah. So I think once it gets to that level on a new boat, then it'll be kind of worth it for a new boat because it's under warranty. If you are refitting an older boat with lithium, all we're saying is, you probably don't need, obviously, and you wouldn't be getting a generator if you had lithium, and then you can make your decisions on the AC. So we've spent now 10 minutes talking about energy, and it's a really important topic, which is why we want to kind of spend the time on it. But let's move on to electronics.
Electronics? Yeah, I think we're happy with the decisions we've made to add bigger chart plotter.
At the helm.
At the helm, so that's the 12-inch. And then we put the one that was coming standard. So that was done post-factory. And the one that comes standard in the factory is like 10-inch. So we had this one moved to the nav station, and the 12-inch, the bigger one, where you really like spend most of your time at the helm station. So I think we're happy with that.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with my eyesight. It's nice to be able to blow things up.
Yeah, I mean, it's regardless. I think it's bigger is better. Mm-hmm. And then the one we use inside, I mean, it's more to monitor stuff. So if we're at anchor, you want to monitor the wind. So sometimes we just kind of leave it on.
Or on a passage.
On a passage, so the other person can check, or you can go do a coffee and check whatever inside. But at night, we leave sometime the chart plotter on, so it records the wind. And if you wake up during the night, you know what happened the last 2 hours, what's the trend. So we use it for that.
Or if your anchor situation is iffy, you can set the anchor drag on the chart plotter, and it'll sound an alarm. But you can also
it's not
do that
very
on your
strong,
phone.
so you cannot hear it in bed. So it's more like it's a repeater. It's convenient. So because they don't offer the option to have just one big one. So. And then definitely iPad. We use the iPad with Navionics all the time.
To double check against the Garmin.
Well, you need 2 set of charts. It's very. It's just two different applications. It's kind of very easy to use, and we have both at the helm. The one thing that would change is we didn't buy the iPad version that has cellular with it because it was more expensive, and we're like, we don't need the cellular. But the cellular version has a GPS integrated. So in our case, we ended up buying a little puck, like it's called the Bad Elf, that is a separate GPS. And so through Bluetooth, it sends the information.
And sometimes Bad Elf is naughty. It doesn't always. But I don't know how that works.
So Bad Elf works well, but last year we never had any problem. It was always working very well. You can use it to connect multiple devices if you needed to, but our phones all have integrated GPSs, so we don't need to. But this year, I think because they've updated like the privacy, like what apps monitors your location, blah, 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 like all the time.
It's created some bugs. Yeah.
It's created some issues, and now it seems to have resolved itself. Like we've done some stuff or updated some apps, and so we haven't had any problems the last couple of months. But I would say just to keep it simple, pay the extra money. If you want to save some money, get an older iPad with cellular / GPS integrated.
Yeah. And then we have a remote control for the autopilot. We like that. That was an extra thing.
We don't use it all the time, but if you're on watch and we go on top sometimes, we take the iPad with us. And then it's more like if you have stuff in the water, then you can just remotely move the boat and stay in your relaxed position on top.
The fly bridge. Yeah. The sport top or whatever.
The lounge area, whatever you call it.
The Lido deck.
But I think it's more essential for if you have downwind sails. We have 2 people on board, and you need to be, especially the Spinnaker. because there is more lines. So that allows you to have one person on the bow and one person that is mobile at the back, and then can control the boat and change the direction as you set the spinnaker or douse the spinnaker. So that's very useful for that. If somebody were to be incapacitated for some reason, and then you will have the remote, and you could do certain things that typically are easier to do with two people.
Yeah.
So not essential, but can be useful.
Yeah, and there's times I had it around my neck, and then I came down to adjust a line or something, and because of the height and where I was, it hit the man overboard button, and the boat went around in a circle. So you just have to be careful about that. Okay, so that's electronics. Anchoring.
Mm-hmm.
So we like our anchor system. It's a Mantis system. We got the 85-pound,
39
kilo anchor, which may be a bit big-ish, on the big-ish side for this boat, but we're happy to carry the weight around for that.
Yeah, I think our philosophy has been like, you want to sleep well.
Yeah,
you want to
definitely.
You want to, you're going to find yourself in conditions where sometimes it's deep, sometimes, and you're not going to be able to dive. The water is deep or not clear, or you come later at night, or it's like seaweed, and the last thing you want is just to doubt your anchoring system. And so we are pretty happy with our anchor. We haven't had any issues.
And I think we mentioned before, we got an oversized bridle.
So, and then, we switched from the 12 millimeter to 10 millimeter of chain. Yeah. So
100 meters.
100 meters. And then, so to save some weight on the bow. And then, the bridle we've upgraded, and very happy we've upgraded that this season, because the attachment that comes standard fell apart, and I think for everybody that happens some point in time. So don't wait for it. We got lucky when it happened.
It's a little wonky. You tend to work with the bridle when we're setting the bridle, and I'm up at the helm, just because your arms are longer, and sometimes it gets stuck weird in the opening we have. But that's probably a boat-specific problem. Yeah,
and also we got, there was the bridle for 40 to 50-foot boat from Mantis, and we got like the one above, which we probably would have been okay with the 40 to 50, but we thought, why not? But it gets tricky because the then it's the opening.
eye, on the end of the.
You have to have the proper technique to take it in and out
of the.
And also, if you anchor in shallower waters, then it's pretty long. But it has some advantages. When it's long, we don't swing as much and stuff. So probably we will buy the 40 to 50.
So we're happy we have the Mantis system. We may have made a different decision on the size of the bridle.
Yeah.
That's fair to say. Okay. So that's anchoring. And we are happy we got 100 meters, because there are places that are quite deep. And
so far in the Med, we really haven't.
No, we've never put out 100, but
no. Yeah. Except to test it. But I think even here we were like in quite deep waters, and we realized everybody is like seemed to be dropping like hundreds of meters. I mean, but I think we had like 55, and I think we were fine. So I think probably with less here in the Med, we could have got by. Now,
well, and we've also not been in a hurricane yet or anything like that.
Yes, it would be nice to be able to lay out, 90, 100 meters of chain, because, you're going to have a hurricane come, or like strong winds, and, then you'll be fine. But, and in some places in the world, that might be more useful. But,
so you want to talk about rigging?
Rigging and sails, yes. So one thing that is an option is the Carvey Hook. I think it's like €1,000. It's not cheap. I think most owners, the trend is more to go without. People who've had it switched back to a more standard system. We haven't had any problems with it until recently, which I need to look more into it. But where if you're familiar with the way the Carvey Hook system is, you have a dynamite loop between the head of the sail, and then basically at some point as you raise the main, the dynamite loop
pops into the hook.
Yeah. So a couple of times recently, it didn't pop in all the way, and so we couldn't bring the sail down because it creates some friction between the main halyard and the dynamite loop. So that's a problem.
Yeah, we were coming out of Dittam and we couldn't get it down. So you had to go up the mast.
Yeah, and
underway.
And so it worked out. It was tricky to try to take the tension out to be able to get the halyard down. So I would probably say, save the money, go with a more standard system. The advantage it will offer if you go with a standard system is that's a halyard that you can use to hoist a person up the mast. In our case, with a Carvey Hook, you cannot really do that. So for our setup, the topping lift, we basically replaced it with a dedicated topping lift that is attached on top of the mast and to the end of the boom. So this one is dedicated and adjustable, just making a knot of different height. And but then this way we have the topping lift halyard that now we can use to hoist me all the way up the mast, and also we use it for the gangway. And then we use like one of the spin halyards as a backup. But so because we have the Carvey Hook, we have this added option. If you don't get the Carvey Hook, then you can use the main halyard, and it's a little cheaper and simpler. So I will probably do that.
The electric winch on the back?
Yes, we have a rewind Harken winch on the port side, so that we use that to raise the dinghy, and that's an option through Content Peugeot that you can get a winch there, and maybe electric winch. So it's definitely convenient to have an electric winch there to hoist the dinghy, because you want to do this often, and you want to keep it simple and quick. In this case, the rewind winch can go both ways, can turn clockwise and counterclockwise.
And we have little buttons installed.
So we have buttons next to it here, and we have also buttons at the helm station.
That you can control from the helm, which is helpful when you're adjusting the spinnaker, right?
So if you're going to use downwind sails and do short-handed sailing, like one person, two people, it's definitely super convenient. You set your gennaker, for example, and if it's on the port side, then you can be at the helm and you can tension the sheet or ease the sheet just from the helm station. So that's super practical. It's not cheap, but I would say if you're short-handed,
it's definitely worth it. Yeah,
it's worth it. Yeah.
The other thing we use the winch for is sometimes tightening the port stern tie line if we are tying to shore.
Yeah.
When we need to do that. So that's been also handy to use for that.
So something to consider if you want to have the downwind sails short-handed, get the rewind winch if you are willing to spend the money. If not, then you just run over there and then try to adjust the sails. And I mean, the problem with the downwind sail, like gennaker and spinnaker, they're very, very light. And, if you want to trim them properly, then you make some adjustments. So, from the helm all the way to the other corner, there's a little bit of a time to get there. And so,
So let's talk about the symmetrical.
Yeah, the downwind sail. So we have a Code Zero, we have a gennaker, we have a Symmetrical Spinnaker. I would say if you're going to the sail that I will definitely get if you're going to want to kind of start with something is definitely the Code Zero. It's pretty versatile sail. I mean, ours is called like a flying Genoa, so you can think of it as like kind of our Genoa, similar material, pretty strong, can sail it in pretty strong winds. Much bigger than the Genoa. and with much like a deeper
It's a
shape.
huge sail, yeah.
So it definitely, the boat needs that to be powered up if you have the right angle, and it's very like versatile. You know, if you're going downwind, you can also use it. You could have a barber hauler on the side to open it up. And if you really were to go like that downwind, you could have like the Gen 1 one side, the Flying Gen 1 / Code Zero on the other side. And that's definitely the one sail that I will get. That means you also have to rig that up with some blocks at the back. After that, if you're going to weight the Symmetrical Spinnaker, if you're less familiar with flying downwind sails, it's a little more tricky because there is like 2 lines on each side, the guy and the sheet. So it's definitely more to handle.
Especially shorthanded.
Yeah, it's more to handle. And you need also more blocks and stuff to set that up. So if you want to start with something, start with the Code Zero, maybe the Gennaker.
Yeah.
And then later on, you can always add the Symmetrical Spinnaker. I mean, or many people also just go with the Wingacre or the what's the name?
Parasailer.
Parasailer. Yeah. We chose not to have a hole in our sails, but so some people get that set up like from the beginning. It's quite versatile, easy sail to handle for like cruisers.
Yeah, and just a quick note on our anti-fouling. So far, we really like the copper coat. I know there's differences of opinion on whether that's, something that's right for you, so you can check that out. We also have a blog about it on our blog at sailingawin.com if you want to read in more detail. But so far, so good. Really like it.
I mean, the product, I think the conclusion is the product is good. It's all about the installation, the process. And it's definitely
We may have
tricky.
even done a podcast on it, actually, so you can look for that, too.
Yeah, so you need the right conditions, temperature-wise, humidity-wise, no rain. And Uchimata in La Rochelle did a great job. I think what's tricky is you really need to wait for the right time and the right window.
If you get it installed properly, it's awesome. So that's kind of what we have to say about that. So let's talk a little bit about the wind's picking up here, but let's talk a little bit about the comfort stuff. And I can talk more about, the galley. But let's start with the water maker and the water filter, the Seagull system we have. So the water maker you mentioned before, it's a 12 volt. What's the capacity again?
105 liters per hour.
Yeah.
So the factory was only offering 65 liters per hour. We chose to install the same model, but the 105 liter per hour post factory. We're very happy with that. 12 volt because it's simple. Like you don't need to run a generator. We have, like we talked about, we have plenty of solar to help with that. And then 105 liters per hour. If you're on a long passage, you don't care, but a lot of the time it's you go from point A to point B, and if you want to try to make the water
maybe a few hours or an hour or something.
And it's in some places you might not want to run the water maker because you're close to like a marina and there might be oil in the water, or you don't know. So it's nice whenever you can run the water maker to just know that you run it as like 105 liters per hour. And it seems when you look at it, it's like not going fast enough.
Yeah, so it's kind of the same philosophy as with the solar panels. More is better. And so with the water maker, we felt like more capacity was better, and we definitely use it. So it's nice to not worry too much about water. We did install a water filter under the sink, a Seagull, which I mentioned before. It was funny because when I was talking to my dealer about adding it, he's like, "Well, people just you're just drink the water that goes through your water maker and stores in the tanks." And I'm like, "But at home, we don't just drink the water out of the tap because it's in, it comes out of the tap at our house. Like we do go through a filtration system." And
and the water from the tap is good. We have the option to add.
Yeah, so I was like, just add it. Let's just add it. It's just an extra thing. But I have to say, the last time we changed the water maker filter, I was horrified. Like, it was really dirty. And maybe we let it go a little bit longer than we should have before we changed it. But it made me feel better drinking the water that went through kind of a second stage of filtration under the sink. So I don't know what you think about that. It's more mental maybe than it. I mean, we'll have to get a water test to kind of see, but...
Yeah, the water filter from the water maker, I mean, it's salt water that is sitting in this container. So, of course, over time, when hot temperature, I mean, the filter is going to, going to be some growth. But it's passing through the water maker. So I think it's fine. Obviously, you need to change it regularly.
I mean, you're looking at this clear water. It's so beautiful and stuff. And then you take the water maker filter out and it's just nasty. So anyway, that just mentally makes me feel better. The other thing just to bring up around comfort and living, I guess, is the shades and the cockpit tent. The shades for the bow windows. And then the cockpit tent that we had made, we talked about that in a previous episode as well, where we had it custom made with both the textiline shades and the plastic in panels that you can zip on and off and not have to remove them to use, like, you could use the plastic and then unzip the textiline and roll up the textiline. So you don't have to, like, swap the panels, which means you have to store the panels somewhere. So that's been... we really, really like it. Right now, it's just all open because it's been hot. You don't want any of the panels up.
Well, we still have
the textiline, the shade for sure. Yeah. The do-over I think I would have is I didn't get the curtains on the inside. They come standard in the cabins, but I didn't get them put in the salon because I was like, well, we have the shades. What do we need the curtains for? And I definitely think you need the curtains for just heat control. It can get, when the sun is pounding down and it's too windy to put up the bow tent, the bow cover, which we'll talk about. You definitely need, like right now I have towels with clothespins hooked to the inside shades to keep the sun from beating in on the salon. So that would be kind of a do-over. I think the other thing around that is screens. So the boat comes with screens on most of the windows, but not all of the windows. So any of the hatches that are on the side of the boat, those don't come with. And we're like, okay, we'll just buy them after the fact. They sell them at any chandlery, and they kind of unfold and you pop them out. And I've lost all of them. They've fallen out or blown off. So I've had to make my own on the sides. And then the two hatches on the bow, one is to our bathroom, and the other one is to the storage locker in the front on the starboard side. Those don't come. They never came with screens, and I don't know why, because all of the other hatches have screens. So
neither the hatches in the salon. You have two big hatches.
Two big hatches. They're big openings with the salon. So I've made some screens. I've had some screens installed, and like in the front, I had someone make those after the fact to blend in nice and have certain. And then the sliding door here between the salon and cockpit, because of the bugs, we had some additional screens made, but it's sort of like this. It's kind of a textile material, so I'm not sure I'm completely happy with them. I'm happy with the privacy. I'm happy when we leave the boat, we can put them down and nobody can see inside. But the airflow isn't as much as I would say a regular screen, so that may not be a long-term solution. But the bugs are bad, and we're in the Med, and we're not even in like the jungle yet, and so I can't imagine what it would be like, in Belize or something, like this, where you have a lot more mosquitoes, and you can't stand mosquitoes. Our bedroom downstairs looks like I don't know. It doesn't. It's like a war zone in there. There's like splattered bug juice all over.
Because you always say there are no mosquitoes, so I need to leave the dead mosquitoes.
The dead mosquitoes, so to prove that there are mosquitoes, because they never really bite me. They always bite you. Anyway, so that's with screens. Definitely make sure you have those. I don't know that I would install the washer dryer. And I know it seems really hard to think about living without a washing machine if you live aboard. And I'm sure people have different opinions on this, but it's hot and we don't wear that many clothes. And so they're easy to wash by hand, and then you put them out and they dry almost instantly. So, with swim trunks or maybe a little shirt, it's all, you end up wearing linen or dry fit material or polyester things that dry really quickly and wash really quickly anyway, because 100% cotton anything is just too hot. So everything dries really fast and you can just do things much more efficiently. Number one. Number two, everywhere we've been, there's been a laundry service. Yeah. So we put, like our sheets and towels and all that stuff when we get to a big town, and we drop it off and it's like done that day or the next morning. And it's totally worth it, and it's fine. It's been great. In a pinch, we have a big bucket, a big, huge tub, I guess, that we fill with water, and I just get in there and stomp around like I'm making wine from grapes, and, it's all kind of done if we had to do that. So, I don't know. That's another kind of lever you have to look at from luxury living to camping. Like, where are you in that? I don't know if it's worth the weight and the energy it takes to run it. If you live aboard and you're at a marina and you're using the electricity, maybe it's fine. But again, you can just drop it off. So, I'm not sure. Plus, these like really run for a long time, and they consume a lot of water, where I feel like I could be more efficient with the water just washing something by hand. So, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing swim trunks every day, so... Yeah,
there's not much to wash.
Yeah. Now, if you live aboard during the winter season, and you're going to wear like warmer, like pants, clothes, whatever, like... I mean...
But you still have the laundry service, so anyway, that's...
Yeah, because the dilemma is really the towels and the sheets. I mean, you can do it in this washing machine, but because it takes a long time and it's like you're going to do many loads, it's not like, the US size.
Yeah, and in the summer, the towels and everything would dry quickly. In the winter, they wouldn't dry quickly at all. So I think, you're kind of committed to the laundromat system if you don't have it in the wintertime. So that kind of depends on that. The other things that are kind of, I'm not using at all. I'm not using the oven at all. I think I used it one time, and it was to like make brownies and also heat up the inside because we were in Montenegro and it was cold.
Pizza.
I made some pizzas another time. Okay, so I've used it twice, literally, since we've had it. I can't express how hot it can get in there. Sometimes if you don't have, airflow, and I have no interest in cooking anything in an oven. So I think that, I would either completely take it out and not use it, or I would want to get an oven microwave combo, like a convection microwave combo, which we kind of have. We bought aftermarket a little tiny microwave to just heat things up, and it does toast and stuff too. So I don't know. Like, I think that's kind of fine for two people. I mean, I'd rather have the storage space or, something. So the oven is not something. Now, that comes standard on new boats. It's not like you can not order it, but you can have it taken out, and then I guess you could sell it to somebody. But I just wouldn't use the oven. We also had an extra fridge put in the cockpit for drinks. We have it off now, and we're not using it because everything, we have 190 liters, right, for our... 130 for our fridge. They're like two drawers. And then we have a 90-liter freezer. I think it's bigger than 130. I think it's 190. I don't know. We'll have to look it up. But it comes. But it was a lot. And
maybe 160.
Yeah, in the drawers.
And then 90 for the freezer.
That's right. And so for the two of us, it's fine. And, we eat a lot of beans. We eat a lot of produce, that kind of thing. So all of the capacity for that, the storage for the rest of the food's all fine. So times when it's come in handy is when we have a lot of people. where we, want to store cold drinks, or, if you need to store a watermelon, which we've done too. And I really enjoy watermelons. So actually, I would love to have another one on board. But other than that, I don't know if it's necessary. It just depends, I guess, on how many people you need, how many people you have on board.
Yeah, and I mean, also we don't drink cold, like we drink room
water,
temperature water. But
we have ice cube. We have ice cubes. So we didn't get an ice machine installed. We bought an aftermarket ice machine, which works totally fine and is fast. And I just freeze the ice cubes in the freezer, and so we can use that if we need to.
I guess, yeah, if you like beers and stuff and you entertain a lot,
then it'd be worth it, but not otherwise. And then, so I think I've mentioned everything on the comfort and living.
Plancha.
Anything else? Oh, yeah. So we got a plancha. It doesn't work right. So I'm dealing with that with the dealer right now. I think they installed the wrong connectors or fittings somehow, so it doesn't get enough gas to it. We got the plancha option. We don't barbecue because we don't eat meat, but we wanted the ability to make fish or do something on the plancha, if we had guests, and also just for like pancakes or something like that. But we don't, even though it's not working, would I use it? I don't know. I've got an electric, what do you call this? It's a crepe maker is what it is. It's like a electric pan, sort of. And I use that every day, almost twice a day, and that works just fine. So I think we're looking forward, to at some point upgrading to a different stovetop. So right now we have the gas stovetop, but at some point when we do a conversion,
that will be as part of like installing lithium, switching to the induction, removing propane, and then but that will be as part of an upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends how you cook. I cook right now with this hot plate and my Instant Pot. Those are the two things I use mostly because we eat a lot of plant-based, a lot of beans. I make Thai food and curries and the version of kind of chili and stews and things like that because they're easy to make a lot of, and then I can store them in the freezer, and then I don't have to cook that much. I don't have to worry about that so much every single day. So that's how I cook. But again, even when I try to do something different, like a stir fry, separately or something like that on the stove, it's just so hot. I just don't even want the heat in the salon. So I guess it depends how you cook.
The TV,
yeah.
I think, so the standard one is like 32-inch maybe? Mm-hmm. Initially, we had bought a bigger TV.
To have,
and a better quality TV, and we wanted to swap this one and put this one into the master bedroom.
And that got stolen when our boat got broken into.
So that solved that problem. We didn't buy another one, which was good.
But this size TV is fine.
It's. I mean, do we need a TV? No, we don't use it that much. I mean, we
watched a movie for the first time night before last. We hadn't watched a movie
back in Croatia.
I mean, it's been a couple months.
Yeah, and when we started to watch, because I haven't watched
Game of Thrones. Yeah.
So, but that was it. And so I would say definitely don't
worry
need
about
TVs.
Upgrading the TV. Well, it depends on, your TV watching. So we were even going to put one down in the main cabin, and it's like, why, we just don't live that way, I guess. So, it's not been something, and the TV is plenty big for two people in the salon watching the TV. The comfort on the couch is a different topic for a different podcast.
Yeah. The only thing that was fun is we have an antenna, so you can, when there was the soccer games, I could watch those like somewhere from remote places. So that was fun. But
it's not so much about not having a TV. It's about thinking you need to get a bigger TV, I guess is what we're talking about.
In general,
yeah,
we don't use it.
Yeah. Okay, and then our last topic is really about other things that we realized we couldn't live without. So this doesn't so much have to do with options. It just has to do with surprising things that we realize we actually use quite a bit of. So I'll start with the ones we can't live without. So the stand-up paddleboard has been something we couldn't live without. We've had trouble all season keeping air in the thing because we crashed it against the rocks in Croatia and never quite recovered from getting them fixed. How many times have you tried to replace the patches now?
I'm not counting anymore.
4 or 5. It's, so...
Yeah, but we're making progress. But
little by little.
So it's super useful for when you have like to go, around the anchorage, meet other people, but it's also
stern lines.
Like for we don't use the dinghy because there are rocks and stuff. So
is it easier to use the SUP for you or just to swim with the line?
Just to swim is as easy, and then it's fine.
Yeah,
it's definitely maybe like faster and you're a little bit more mobile, but
there are times we've been anchored and it's like too far to swim, or you're going to dinner and you don't want to get wet, obviously, but not far enough to like go through the whole hassle of getting the dinghy down. So it's nice to just like go to shore with the stand-up paddleboard, or you want to go on a hike and you don't really want to. There's no place to put the dinghy. So
very versatile.
Yeah. Also, the bikes have been good. The reason, first of all, anywhere we've been, you can rent bikes. So most places you go, if there's good bike tours to be had, you can rent a bike or an electric bike. Where they've come in handy is...
Or scooters.
Or
depending if they're heels and stuff, then they might rent more scooters.
He means motor scooters, like...
Mopeds.
Mopeds, yeah. And so you could do that, and we've done that a lot. So, but with the folding bikes we have, what we've also experienced is where you want to go, you may change your mind at the last minute because of the direction of the wind, or you don't want to enter a busy marina, so you want to anchor somewhere else on the island or somewhere. And where you end up anchoring is, too far to walk. And you may not want to, like, it's not like cabs are going by every 5 seconds. And in some places, Uber doesn't work at all. So, and you want to get exercise and stuff. So we found ourselves on a few bike rides we've really enjoyed. And we're sometimes a little bit more rigorous than we would like. But I
would say it's convenient. You probably can do without if you plan to leave a board like year-round. And it might be good to have either those like scooters or like as long as the roads are good, the bikes. So definitely allows you to carry bigger stuff, longer distances, more different types of roads. So they are definitely better for that. And I would say if you stay like you're close to a bigger city or like, that's more
where you have a lot more to cover. Yeah.
Worst case, I would say
you can take buses. You can grab a cab. You can take
the dinghy and go around the island if you wanted to.
But we've enjoyed it, and we've found ourselves even on back roads, before by accident. We're like, I guess we're like.
But in some cases, it's good.
Yeah. Another one on my list that is an absolute. I just love my pressure washer because we have the ability to make more water. I can actually rinse the boat off with Water Maker water at anchor. I love the pressure washer. It's like the best thing ever. When the boat is clean, and the boat gets really, really salty, and the salt starts corrosion on all of the stainless steel, which I hate polishing. And just the ability to rinse off the boat, even not just wash it with soap, but just to rinse it off is just amazing. I think that has been huge.
Yeah, and we use about 10 to 15% of the water tank. So
when we use the pressure washer,
a water tank is about it's 700 liters, I think. Mm-hmm. So 10-15%. That's kind of what we use, and then it's good. It's practical.
I think the thing that we probably put in that we're still like not sure we should have done is the compressor, the air compressor. Well, and we're in the Med, right? So there's no real diving in the Med, or if there is, it's in wrecks.
Yeah,
but
it's not much fish.
There's not much
like the bottom.
It's
like,
kind of sad.
It's pretty dead.
Yeah. So here's our logic: is if we're gonna, plus we're certified scuba divers, but we're not experts. We're not even intermediate. I would still call us beginner scuba divers. Anywhere we would go, we would get a guide, a diving instructor to come with us. So if he's going to come, like, he could just bring tanks, or she. And so I feel like maybe we don't need them on board. And it's heavy, right? It's another heavy thing we have. And then let's say we become more expert scuba divers. Some places, having a guide is still good because they can show us where to go. So I don't know.
Where to go, but also once you're in a dive area, like what to look for, because they dive there regularly, and they show you like, oh, this little thing. So yeah, it's I guess the intent, we did it at the time in La Rochelle because all the diving equipment, including the compressor, was like VAT free. So we thought, oh, let's take advantage of that.
For the boat in transit, yeah.
Yeah. Now I would say it's not for the Med, especially also if you're starting with the boat. There's so many other things to think about, worry about, or do. You can probably wait maybe until you're in the Caribbean or something. Now
the hookah, I think, is useful to have, but you don't need the compressor for that. You can just have a tank, I guess.
Well, you will need to get it filled at some place, but there are like dive centers in many places. So you could have like one small tank, and if you had some lines, stuck below the boat, and you need to dive, and just for a short dive like this, or to clean the boat, or it might be good to have this as an emergency, but do you need a full compressor unless you are like is your hobby?
Yeah. Or if you're like a master diver and you do it all the time, and
or like you're in places like in French Polynesia or something, and then you want to be able to dive anytime from the back of your boat. But in the Med,
so far not
limited.
So much. And then finally, the biggest thing we think we couldn't live without, and I never knew it, was the bow cover for the tent in the front. It just cools down the boat. It creates wind flow. You set it up, we tent it, and it's great. I love it, and I never knew that I would love it. So.
Yeah, when it's hot, you're stuck to basically the cockpit. Because there's still some airflow and you're in the shade. Inside in the salon, it's okay, but it's hotter. So suddenly, when you add the bow cover, you have that whole... Well, first, that becomes the best section.
We just lounge up there. Yeah, it's
you
great.
lounge there, you get the airflow, and then, that becomes the primary spot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, and finally, our last thing to cover just quickly... before we close, is the dinghy. So we have an OC tender. We love having a hard shell dinghy because of the issues.
One thing less to worry about,
and all the issues we've had with the stand-up paddleboard. So that's fine. But what would we do differently?
We have the 3.5 meters. We were told it's big, but we had never seen one. And we thought we have the space, and why not, get a bigger one?
It fits fine in the davits. It fits a ton of people. Yeah. Yeah,
and if we have to carry in some places in the world like jerry cans of like diesel because there is no like way to, that's the way you get them. Then, if you dive, and you can put all the equipment. So it's a very roomy,
It's very big.
It's very deep. There's a lot of space. I would say to get the 3.3 meters, the one below that will be plenty.
Yeah.
For the few occasions where you might need to do a second trip because, instead of one, it's really no big deal. So I would say I would get the 3.3 meters, and then we have the 15 horsepower. I would say I will get like the 10 horsepower, which was basically the recommendation from OC Tender to say.
Yeah, we went bigger than they recommended. So I guess what we're saying is we would have taken their advice.
Yes.
And we see people with these teeny tiny little puny dinghies with like 6 people shoved inside, and it looks ridiculous, but they do it. And they also, just in case you want an inflatable, and they just go back and forth and make trips. Yeah. So it again, it just depends on how you want to use it.
And how you're going to use it. If you, the two of you, like 95+% of the time, like, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's practical for the bikes, but even the 3.3 meter will be like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if it weren't for the bikes, we probably wouldn't need, you know, a bigger dinghy. We could go with one of those little puny ones, but, you know, we like having the hard shell. We love a lot of things about the OC Tenders, so that's good. A lot of people also like the center console idea on their dinghy. It's more weight. I don't know if it's necessary. More complexity. I'm getting used to using the tiller on the outboard, so you know, there's also argument to be made for
simple is better.
Like a car.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah, simple is better. So that's kind of it. Any other closing thoughts on do-overs or things you love?
If people have questions on things we haven't covered, we can give our opinion or dive deeper.
Yeah, exactly.
On some topics.
So any topics that we didn't cover that you want to hear covered, you can email us at sailingowen@gmail.com or check out our blog. It's at sailingowen.com. Fair winds for now.
Bon vent.
Thank you for listening. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, like, or share with another covert castaway. Fair winds for now.